Hi everyone, Emma here. Our class today is one of our Yoga for Runners videos, and we're going to focus on the feet, the core and the shoulders, strengthening, stabilizing and stretching those parts of the body. So come and join me on the mat. If you have a yoga block, grab one. If you have a strap, grab one. Neither is essential, but I will be using them in a couple of the poses. First of all, let's take a seat in thunderbolt pose. So sitting back on your heels with a deep bend in the knees. So let's just take a moment to settle and arrive here. I'm going to start with 3 poses, all focused around our feet, and focusing on stretching first and then stabilizing, and your toes are really going to enjoy some of this, maybe. Okay, so first of all we're going to do an ankle stretch, so a stretch in particular for the front of the ankles. So I want you to start to bring the weight back so that your knees lift up off the mat, and you can walk your hands away. So keep going until you can feel a stretch through the front of your feet. And then I'm going to time this stretch, and we're going to see if we can stay for a minute. Now, don't worry if it becomes too intense before I say that the time is up. You can come out of this at any time. The key thing with any stretch is to try to relax and take deep breaths. So deep breathing really is the key to our stretching practice. We're actually nearly there. We're 2/3 of the way through. And we have 10 seconds to go, so we've got this now. 5, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to walk the hands forward, allow the knees to come down, bring your hands in front of you and either tap your feet out on the mat or just give them a little wriggle and a shake and get that out of the body. Good. Okay, now bring the hands forward again. This time curl the toes under. We're going to come into a toe stand. So I want you to push back so that your knees lift up, and bring yourself up so that your shoulders come over your heels and your heels are over your toes. And then you might like to bring your hands to a prayer at the center of the chest. Now think about lengthening through the spine. We'll stay here for 6 deep breaths. 4 more. 3. A final round of breath. And then once again, bring the weight forward, come off the toes and tap it out or wriggle your toes. Do what you need to do. Okay. Next up, fire toes pose. Come back to curled under toes, and we're going to come into it as if we're coming into our toe stand, but we're not going to take the knees up this time. We're going to sit back with the shoulders over the hips and the hips over the toes. Okay, so this one might feel more intense. You can always spread out your toes a little bit if you like. And you can hold this for as long as you like, but today we're going to just hold it for 30 seconds. You could work up to even 2 minutes in this pose. Stick with it. We've got another 20 seconds left. I'm doing my best poker face. 15. Remember, deep breaths will get you through. Last 5. Okay, bring the weight forward and tap it out. Good job. Okay, now swing around. Enough of the feet for a moment. And we're going to find our Navasana pose, our boat pose. So we're going to work on stabilizing in the core, in the center of the body. And yoga is pretty good for this generally, but this one's quite an isolated movement at the center of the body. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the feet together. We're going to then lift the feet off the mat and find a balancing point, drawing the navel in towards the spine, and then in the first instance, bring your feet parallel with the mat, your shins parallel with the mat. And then you can hold behind the thighs, or you can reach your arms out in front of you. You can also straighten your legs up to the ceiling. I'm not going there. I'm going to stay here, and we'll stay for 6 breaths. Keep your spine long, navel to spine. Make sure you're breathing. 3, 2, 1, and then cross your ankles over. Bring your hands to the side of your hips, and then lift up your hips into the air. And breathe out. Bring your hips back down. Good. Okay, let's take a comfortable seated position, easy seat, Sukhasana. And bring your right hand outside the right hip and sweep up your left arm. And then take a lateral flexion, a side bend. Reach up and over to the right side. Bend into your right elbow and get into your side on the left there, or between your ribs, your intercostals. You know, when you do a lot of running, you spend a lot of time in your backwards and forwards plane, your sagittal plane. Not as much time going from side to side or twisting. Your transverse. Okay, let's change. Inhale, sweep it over and reach the right arm up and flex over, bend into your left elbow. A few more breaths. And then breathe in and reach up and release down back to Sukhasana. Okay, so if you've got a block, grab hold of it now, and we're going to do some movements for exercise for the obliques, the muscles at the side of the core, and we're going to use the block to do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back into our Navasana shape, and we're going to take the block as far behind as we can from side to side. So it's going to look something like this. Okay, so join me when you're ready. So feet off the mat, and then we're going to swap the block from side to side behind you. So navel in towards the spine. Keep going. Let's do another 6 on each side. Stick with it to the end. 2 more on each side. And last one. And back to the center. Okay, just take a moment in Sukhasana. Just let the energy from that pose settle. Release your shoulders. Navel into spine, shoulders down. And then take a few shoulder rolls. Good. Okay, let's do some more work on our core strength. And we're going to do that in forearm plank. So we've got a number of different planks that we practice in yoga. Forearm plank is a really excellent one for building strength through the whole body. So actually, first of all, before we do it, let's do a sphinx. So let's stretch out the front body. So lie on your front with your feet about hip width apart, but maybe a bit wider, and your arms, forearms parallel, shoulders just above the shoulders above the elbows. Push down into your arms, push down into your feet, maybe lift your knees off the mat, and let's stay here for about 5 breaths. So keep the chest lifting up, maybe draw the shoulders back a little. It's a difficult movement here, but just find that intention. Three more breaths. And then let's exhale and come down into reverse corpse pose and just rest the body for a moment. Maybe give the hips a little wriggle from side to side. Okay, walk the feet to about hip width apart, curl the toes under. And then let's bring the elbows back under the shoulders. We're going to come into our forearm plank, which you can do, by the way, with your knees down. So push into the forearms, curl the toes under, navel to spine, and then lift up into your forearm plank. So we stay low in the hips, push the shoulders away from the earth, so the shoulders stay nice and stable. Navel in towards the spine, gaze down between your thumbs. Let's stay for 6 breaths. Squeeze into the legs, navel in, shoulders strong and steady. 3, 2, 1. Knees down, come down to reverse corpse, bring your elbows out. Take a moment or two, rest. Maybe shake the hips a little. Okay, and then let's push up into table. And our next pose is going to be dolphin. This is a good pose to strengthen and stabilize your shoulders. And you also get into the back of the legs as well. So let's drop the forearms down. Have your forearms parallel to one another. And stabilize your shoulders. So push your shoulders away from the mat. And then we'll curl the toes under. Okay. If you can, keep your gaze between your thumbs. Push the mat away with your forearms. And lift up high into your hips. And then maybe walk your feet forward. And if the gaze forward is not working out, you can look back. Let's stay for 5 deep breaths. Doesn't matter if the heels don't come down. Just have the intention. Keep pushing the mat away, lifting the shoulders, connecting through the forearms. 3 deep breaths left. And 2. And 1. Let's walk the feet back out, drop the knees down, and swing around now into a seated position. Okay, let's just take any movement that feels helpful in the arms, in the wrists maybe, in the fingers. Good. Okay, grab your strap if you've got one, and bring your legs out in front of you as if you're coming to Dandasana. Remove any extra padding out of your sitting bones. Okay, we're going to drop the strap over the left shoulder and bend the right knee. And then we're going to cross the right knee over the left knee. And you can draw your heel in, if you like, towards the right hip. And then we're going to lean over to the right and bend the right leg as well. So both legs are bent and one knee on top of the other. Okay, so I've got the strap over the wrong shoulder. So bring the strap over your left shoulder. And sweep up with your right arm. Bend your elbow and drop your fingers towards your left shoulder. So we want to keep this top arm up and back. And I'm going to take the left arm out with the thumb down and then draw the arm inwards, bend the elbow and sweep behind and look for the connection. So if the connection is not there, you've got this strap to help you. Just grab onto the strap with your hands. If you don't have a strap, just use your clothes or just send your hands towards each other. We want to focus on lifting up through the front body, up and back with the top arm, down and back with the bottom arm. Let's stay for 6 more breaths. Okay, let's release this carefully. So release one arm and then release the other arm. And give the shoulders a little roll. And then let's release back to Dandasana. Legs out in front. Swap sides with the strap if you want to use it. Bend your left knee, cross it over the right. Sorry, bend your right knee, cross it over the left. And then bend your left knee as well if you like. So one knee on top of the other. And then sweep up your left arm, bend your elbow, fingers towards your shoulder, and then sweep your right arm around and notice if the connection happens easier or not so easily on this side. And once again, lifting up and back with the top elbow, down and back with the bottom elbow, and keeping the chest lifted. Use the strap if you need to, and don't sweat it if you haven't got a strap. We'll stay for 6 breaths. So there are, that's what we often might think of running as being very lower body intensive, but of course you've got constant arm movement as you're driving with the arms and swinging with the arms, so you can get tight in your shoulders as well. So this is one of, it's actually a really old yoga pose, one of the first ones that was written down, and a really good one for opening up the shoulders. Okay, let's carefully release that. Roll the shoulders around, get rid of the strap. Release your legs, come back to Dandasana. And that's the end of our short practice. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you find it useful. If you would now like to take some rest, you could lie down on your back with your knees bent or with your legs straight and take some time in Shavasana. I'll hopefully see you on the next video.